Hello and welcome to probably the last Battle of Excel video of this league. Just want to make a recap video of how the league went for me and what I managed to complete, I guess, of my goals. First part of the video is just going to be some clips, mainly of Doctor drops I still got. I don't know if you remember from a few videos ago, I had set myself the goal of self-farming a headhunter from like card drops, which I finished, but I ended up making a magic find character and just fell in love with farming burials. So in total this league I farmed 3.5 headhunters from just cards, so it's kinda insane. I also want to quickly talk about YouTube. I want to thank everyone for subscribing and watching the videos, leaving comments behind. It really helps a lot and to see what people are really after in terms of information. Um, Unfortunately, this league, like I said, this is the last Battle of Exile video until next league, which is about a month away now, a month and a week. The reason for that is because I'm gonna start playing demo mode. It's a different game. It's a game mode in RuneScape. I mean, I want to keep it short since most of you probably don't know what it is. But that's gonna last a month, so I'm gonna be playing that. And then after that, I'm gonna play the next Battle of Exile league. Next league, I plan to make a lot more videos, especially guides. Especially early league, because I think that's when most people actually need them. I want to go more in depth and post more frequent updates and what I'm doing at that point in time, so it's a lot more relevant to people. How I go about making money. I want to even do daily updates at the start of the league and tell you what's good at league, what's bad, the build I'm playing. So I think it's going to be a lot better next league. So overall, I'm quite happy with how the league went. It's probably my favorite league, or one of the most favorite, especially if I look at playtime. Most leagues I only play about 2 or 3 weeks of them, and this one, I mean, I've played about a month and a half. I've kind of quit like a week ago, but I've just been online to try and sell some stuff off, just to see how much money I've actually made this league. Uh, on top of that, I've also managed to finish 4 characters to level 100. I've got 40-40, and like I said, I made quite a decent bit of money for standard. This league was kind of insane, like a lot of items I didn't expect them to be the prices they are, and even then they would still go up, which still kept surprising me over and over. But I guess for my stuff, like it also helped, since a lot of the items I had went up in value, so that helped a lot with making money. But my favorite part of the league was probably like how rewarding it was. I think every league I try and farm burial chambers, but usually, like most leagues, I get one doctor drop or none at all, and I do like 500 maps or more. But this league, I guess it was pretty hard for me to do about 50 to 70 maps and not get a doctor. So I was like, I mean, I guess I was getting lucky still, because I think my best I dropped like 4 cards in 31 maps, which was just absolutely insane. But even talking to other people and stuff, a lot of people have been averaging a doctor every 50 to 100 maps. That's juiced up maps, of course. Like it's not just Alk and Go, but still the drop rates have been kind of crazy this league, which is probably why I like the league so much. I'm gonna show you a clip now of like some stuff I ended up selling cheap. I could have made more if I waited with selling my stuff. Like I had an Explode Nebulous that I sold for 2 mirrors and 100 exalts today. They're about 3 mirrors actually, which that's I undersold it by 200 exalts at least, which is kind of sad. But I mean, if you want to sell expensive items fast, you have to like sell them for a lot cheaper. And then here, this clip is I've sold it to someone in my guild. Basically, I have this shield which is arguably mirror tier. Someone has one for mirror tier services, like the exact same shield but with 355 energy shield. So mine is already better. Uh, I I haven't got anyone to mirror the shield, of course. I mean, I think it's a combination of the shield not being good enough, in my opinion, to mirror, because you can get like 400 energy shield with these suffixes. And on top of that, mirrors are just like pretty expensive already. They're like 300 exalts, so I don't think anyone wants to mirror it. And then the amulet is, again, it's arguably if it's mirror tier or not. I mean, in my opinion, it's nowhere near mirror tier, especially this league, since no one that's gonna use that amulet is life based, so the prefixes are kind of bad. But I just stopped because I got tier 1 life and some tier 1 damage roll, so I was like, hey, I'll just stop here and see where I get to, and I never ended up like trying to recraft it. But the suffixes alone, the base, I had another guy who had the same exact base and he sold it for 95 exalts, so like that alone is probably 95 exalts. And the helmet I valued at around 75 exalts. It could be valued more, but I had like the same helmet with plus 3 to aura gems, but it had 220 ES instead of 260, and that one sold for 50 exalts. So I think 75 exalts is a pretty reasonable estimate for that helmet. So I mean that guy got a pretty good deal, and because I just wanted to resell those items because they're big, but in standard they're most likely going to be kind of worthless. Well, the shield might still keep value, but the other two items are going to be worthless. So I mean, it's good that someone in the guild ended up buying it, but as soon as I posted that I wanted to sell all three items for a mirror together, I had like three people contact me. So I think it's way undersold as well. But all in all, I sold most stuff, and I'm gonna hop back in game now. As you can see, I have 16 mirrors and 75 exalts, and then I still have quite a lot of stuff I didn't sell. I mean, there's probably like 3 exalts here, another X here, like this is probably another 7 8 exalts, but I didn't go too hard on selling everything. I sell some burials. Maps, I mean, I've sold quite a bit, but even in bulk, they're kind of hard to sell now. So I just kept a bunch of them, and unique maps, of course. Fragments, Uber Zero sets, I mean, no one's really running these anymore this late into the league. Fragments, I think most notable stuff I have sold. Essences I haven't really bothered with because there's so many this league that not many people are actually buying them. Fossils, again, same thing. Like, these are so cheap. I mean, I think my tab is still public and no one's PM me for these, so they're probably worth even less than this. Which, I mean, I might just keep these, craft to them in standard someday, so I just kept them. Then I have here some items. I mean, most of these just didn't sell. Some Chayula still from. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna put the clip in. I did a volleying session of another 144 Chayulas, like these presences with the allocation champion of the cause and quality and everything. I did make profit of it, so I mean these amulets are like whatever. If they sell, they sell. If not, whatever. I still have this one as well. Like funny story about this one actually, because apparently this seed it gives you 68% aura effect. I don't know. I can't check on this character because it's like right here. It gives you it's like the most aura effect you can get on one of these. And when I first got one of these, I sold it to some guy for 1 exalt. And I had like a lot of people PM me afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, that seed is worth 100 exalts. It's an insane jewel." And I was like, "Well, I didn't know because I didn't check them." And then at that point, I started checking them, and somehow I managed to get the exact same seed again that I sold to the guy. And I saw him; he still had it listed for 100 exalts, but I started listing at 80. I dropped it to 60. I haven't had a single person PM me for it, so I doubt it's like worth that much. And then these are some good brutal still. Uh, yeah, some random jewels. I mean, these boots they were actually really good, but I bricked them. They had elusive as well on top of the mana and the dodge spell hits. And I tried to get rid of the mana and add move speed, but didn't work, so they kind of bricked. Think here, yeah. So I have like these greeds. I mean, this one I was offered 35x for it when I had it listed for 50. I declined it, which I mean, obviously now I regret because it hasn't sold since. And this one I had listed for like 70 or 60 at the start, but yeah, I've dropped it to 35 because I'm just trying to sell everything because I'm only playing it one more day. After that, everything's just going to standard. Still have a nice ring, my old amulet, another ring, and then these are like. I mean, this one's +1 max stress, but honestly, it's literally worthless this league because anyone who's actually using this is using the purities, so they have 90% max stress anyway. But it's like a very rare corrupt, so I was like whatever. And then this is the only other like rare corrupt I got. I didn't get +1 curse. I only got quant one. I only got one in. I mean, this league I've vowed over 200 of these. I didn't get curse, but I got one quant and it's max rolled. But again, I don't think anyone who's like MFing is gonna use a presence. But I haven't had any PMs for it, so again, I doubt it's gonna sell. Still have an Endbringer, I guess, here. That's pretty much it. I think these are just random. Oh yeah, this is some of the aftermath. I've sold quite a few of these. I mean, it's cheaper to buy it like this from me than it is to make it, because the enchant costs a golden oil, which I think a golden oil itself is like around 75 chaos, so it's like you get the amulet and the quality and stuff for free. So quite a few people have bought these of me, but still have so many. Some jewels from falling still. Again, I've sold like a few, but leveling tab, I've downgraded this a lot, but again, I didn't get around to leveling another character, so this is just gonna chill here. Oh yeah, I still have some simulacrum and stuff. I mean, I guess I'll run them in standard someday. I guess that's it. Can show you, well, of course I have 4040 completed quite a while ago. Characters. So these are my characters this league. This 95 is my minor from league start. I haven't touched it since. I'm actually gonna go over my characters because I've had quite a few people ask me. Uh, Most notably, I mean, this ranger was my first level 100. This every league I get a level 100 ranger first. This one I was self curse lightning arrow, so just played that. It was kind of a bad build, but it was kind of budget, so it's like whatever. I don't recommend it. Then my second character was, well, I started this, but I didn't finish it to 100. I guess I'll just talk about the characters I actually completed. So this one was my guardian, and these two characters are pretty much same build. I'm gonna talk more in depth about that build because I had recorded the video of that build, going over it, like over every piece and what I wanted to get and stuff like that. But that was like 2 weeks ago, so it's a bit outdated, but it's still relevant to this league. So that's gonna be at the end of the video. It's like a 14-minute clip, so it might take you a while to go through it. Uh, I mean, now I've sold like all the gear off, so I can't tell you for sure how much the gear was worth. And it was about 1,600 exalts in the gear, so it's kind of insane. Especially since I didn't even have 3 passive voices, I only had one of them. So I had like very good gear for that build. And then after that, the build that a lot of people have asking me was my occultist that I magic find on, which is what I've played like the past week and a half or 2 weeks that I farmed like so many headhunters on. Now, first of all, that build, I'm gonna open Battle Building actually to go over it. It is this one, right? So first of all, if you plan to do this build, don't do it as an occultist. It's literally worse in every single aspect than a scion. The only reason I did occultist was because I had level 97 witch that I wanted to finish to level 100, and originally my plan for going occultist was, if I see the ascendancy here, so at first my plan was like I even respect my ascendancy because first I want, like, I can use Profane Bloom for like kind of budget explosions, so I didn't have to get an Explode Nebulous or an Explode Chest. So first I had these nodes, right? And then this one I was like, okay, so this will give me so much regen that I won't need like the replenishing presence and stuff. And basically I was like, I don't need like fizz mitigation because I'll just have such insane regen that I'll just not die. But then once I actually played it, I mean, the explosions were like kind of bad, but you still have Herald of Ice and Ash, so like the clear wasn't too terrible without explosions. So I didn't mind the clear, but then the regen wasn't really working because even though I had like 7k or 7.5k energy shield, and I had like 7k energy shield regen while I killed something because my regen was insane, I still could one shot from physical damage from Delirium, so it didn't really work. And then I went through a lot of changes to actually get it to like stop dying, so I could finish level 100. The most notable change was getting this Watchers, which cost me like 1x, because no one actually cared about armor for determination. And the reason for that was because I didn't have any like base armor on my gear, so I needed the armor on the Watchers, and then I got determination on top of that. And then I also fit in a flask, this one, so it gives me a lot of armor. So then with this flask, the Watcher's Eye, and determination, I had like 66% fizz mitigation, which, you know, then I just never died once I got that, so that's how I got over it. But I could have just played the build on Scion. I'd have more physical mitigation, more energy shield, more damage, more attack speed, so faster leap slam, like every single aspect on a Scion would have been better. So don't go cultist, go Scion. Anyway, I'm gonna go over the build. I had an Explode Nebulous, of course, not many people can afford this. The budget option is just use an Explode Chest. Believe me when I say the explosion is like an insane difference for mapping. Like I was mapping without this, like I started this build without the Explode Nebulous. I just had a regular Nebulous, and I mapped like, I think I got like level 98 and a half or something before I got the Explode one. So it definitely works. But once I got this, I was like, wow, this is like an insane difference. So if I went back now and I didn't have an Explode Nebulous, I would definitely just swap out the chest I used, drop a few auras if I had to, and just use an Explode chest. Then again, the shield and the helm is just the ones I had from my previous build, but all you really need is the Socket of Gems have reduced mana reservation, and then whatever energy shield you can get. The other stats are like whatever on this. The helm, again, You can use an Alpha's Howl actually, because I was gonna use an Alpha's Howl, but I just had this helm around, so I just used this. But if you're not using Alpha's Howl, just look for the reduced mana reserves on the helm, a nice enchant for even more reduced mana, or if you're playing EK or Spark, you can get one of those enchants. And then just Energy Shield, I guess. The body, I went with Psycho Walls. Again, if you don't have an Explode Nebulous, use an Explode Chest. It will be a lot better than this. But if you do, use Psycho Walls. It's such a nice chest for this build. Like the 10% reduced mana reserve is so nice. Gloves, Adimas, of course, a Magic Find build. Ideally, you have a Corruption on it with Elemental Weakness, but those were like 30 Exalt or something, so I didn't bother. Gold Rim, again, MF. By the way, this build, so I tried two things. First, I tried to just run, so I didn't have any movement skill. Well, I had like Flame Dash to cross gaps, but the point was to try and get movement speed. But even with haste, and I had the 10% movement speed enchant on this, and I even got a movement speed Watcher's Eye, I still felt kinda slow without buffs. So then I switched to Leap Slam, which that's why I got the attack and cast speed if you've killed recently. Cast speed is so nice as well for Spark, so that's why I changed. I just Leap Slam now for movement skill. The amulet, this is the amulet I sold. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how I crafted it. The life for me was pointless, and so is the fire damage, so the only thing I really used here is the suffixes. And I had another amulet when I started. Technically the only thing you need is the quantity and the reduced mana reserved. And what you do, you can literally just get two of those amulets, awaken their orb together, and whatever other stats you get. The level 26 vitality isn't a big deal, because especially if you're not using this body, you will have enough sockets, so don't worry about it too much. The rings, pariahs, of course, are so nice, especially this league, because you actually need the extra socket, so it's very nice. Headhunter, of course, and then just flasks, Cinder Swallow, Dearest Promise. This flask, because I needed the armor. Again, if you're playing Scion, you switch this for. You can either go Dying Sun, you can do whatever you want with this flask, really. So you don't need this if you're a Scion. Again, Diamond Flask and Quicksilver. You can also use a Bottled Fate if you can afford one. That's also a good option. And then jewels. I guess I'll go over my skill tree for the jewels, because it's gonna be a mess if I do it there. So the skill tree again is like pretty much the same as my other build, just voices. Again, you don't need a 3 passive. I mean, here I have 2 5 passives, so it's whatever. Like most of the jewels I already had from my other build, that's why I used them. Like a lot of these jewels, you don't need them with your reduced mana, because there's a lot of auras you can just drop for magic finding, like mapping. Get Intuitive Leap, get this, Unnatural Instinct. Hazardous Resource, again this is important if you're playing Spark, which this is a Spark build. Pure Aptitude, Pure Gil, and Pure Might, because these you need them for the reduced mana for the purities. And then here I have like Endbringer, so like 3 Endbringers here. Again, I have here the ones with reduced mana. You don't need the reduced mana, I just had them, so I used them, because I didn't want to buy new jewels. Again, the Watchers I downgraded. Like, the Watchers, all you really want is one crit multi-mod, and then you look whatever you want for the other mods, because you can get Anger crit multi for like super cheap, like less than an Exalt, and then the other mods you can get whatever you want. Like for me I needed armor, so I got Determination, but I had like quite a few of these. Conqueror Efficiency, and just another ES jewel with reduced mana. And then here I have a Heraldry, I have 2 Heraldries and an Endbringer. Again, if I was playing Scion, I was probably gonna get more Endbringers than this, but hey, it's this. And then again, this one was like kind of experimental, but it's kind of nice for mapping, because instead of Endbringers, I got Purposeful. No, I got Replenishing Presence, I mean, which gives you like an insane amount of regen. Like each one of these gives me like 600 energy shield regen or something like that. So it's like so nice to have that regen. But if you need more damage, you can like easily drop these and just get Endbringer. And especially if you're a Scion, even without this, you will never die. So I just got it because I was a cultist. And then just some random jewels with reduced mana. So that's the build. I mean, you can do it kind of budget. Well, the jewels are like pretty much the expensive part. The items you can go very budget. Instead of Headhunter, you can use Bisco's Leash. And yeah, I mean, I guess, like I said, you don't need Explode Nebulous, you can use Explode Chest. These items can easily be changed, like I just had them around, that's why I used them. So most of the gear is kind of budget. Well, you can make it budget, I should say. Again, this the amulet literally costs you like an Awakener orb and two 50 chaos amulets. So a lot of things you can make on budget, but it's up to you how much you want to invest in it. I kind of totally forgot to go over the skills, which is kind of an important part of a build. So for the main skill, it's Spark, Faster Proj, Awakened Spell Echo. If you can afford this, just use a normal Spell Echo. Inspiration, Awakened Fork, increased crit damage. You can mess around with increased crit damage. You can use another gem here if you want. And then I guess it's kind of hard to see here, but basically what you want to do is you want to get 5 Heralds, Precision, your 3 Purities. You want to get, and then a lot of things is like Zealotry is really good, Discipline is one you really want to use, Hatred as well. Anger you can drop if you don't have enough reduced mana for it. Val Haste, again, if you don't have enough mana, you can drop Haste. I won't recommend it because it's nice aura. Red, Determination. If you're Scion, you drop Determination, you don't use this. Clarity, again, see what level you can fit in, but the high level Clarity is kinda nice. Herald of Purity, Leap Slam, my movement skill of choice. Malevolence, the only use Malevolence has for Spark is without Malevolence, my sparks last about 1.8 seconds, and with Malevolence, they last like 4.3 seconds. So it's kind of quality of life, but if this is another aura you can just drop if you don't have the reduced mana for it. And then I temp chase on my gloves and vitality on my helmet. Again, vitality you can drop if you're a Scion, you won't need the regen on it. So there's a lot of auras you can drop. So it's up to you how much reduced mana you got. These were just gems I was leveling, so it's whatever. So I will leave the POBs in the description anyway, so you can check them out. So I'm gonna go over my gear and what I would have ideally had if I kept min-maxing this and what I have right now. Mind you that a few days ago I dropped like a million tooltip just to get more ES. I was sitting at about, well, if I get my inspiration charges, because I'm using inspiration, if you get 5 inspiration I have 3.5 mil tooltip, and with Blood Rage, 3.7, and that's without like buffs and flasks and everything, so it's a lot of damage. I used to have 1 million more than this, but I used to have 7k ES, which now I have 9.6k, and that's as a Scion, so it's quite a lot. When I use the exact same gear as this on my Guardian, I have like probably over 11k energy shield, so it's just insane, plus all the mitigations. But so the gear I've been using, the wand I haven't upgraded in quite a while, because it's just, in my opinion, as good as it's gonna get. Well, it obviously can always get better, right? Like min-maxing does never end, but the most important for me is having tier 1 attack speed on it, and then just as high PDPS, so 387, and then it has Fizz as extra lining, 11%, which is, decent, but not great. The helm, you've seen I've crafted a lot of these. This one was the one that's in the helm crafting video I decided to keep and I was gonna finish later. This is the finished product of it. I meta crafted it till I had tier 2% ES and decided it was good enough. If I got 28 quality on this, it'll go over 260 energy shield with plus 3 to aura gems, and it has the reduced mana, so it's a very good helmet. Amulet, I haven't changed this at all. I've had this amulet for quite a while now, but it could get better. The main thing I wanted is to get an int base, since obviously I don't need the strength or the dex. So the int is energy shield, so I was planning to go over 10k ES, which I can definitely easily do, especially if I change the amulet, but I didn't bother. Then the shield is probably the saddest story, because this was gonna be the best item, but it's not. I was Awakener orbing shields with the reduced mana reservation, and then plus 2 minimum frenzy charges, and hoping to hit int, which on this shield originally I did. I had the perfect suffixes, but it had 3 prefix, so I had to annul it, and unfortunately I hit the plus 2 to minimum frenzy charges, but I still annulled it again, hit a prefix this time, and then I did add suffix, remove prefix, and I added recover life on block, which obviously for this build is pointless, and most people who are gonna use this energy shield. So, but then I just thought I'd metacraft it to get some energy shield on it, and on the first try I hit tier 1% and tier 1 hybrid and tier 2%, so it still ended up as a really good shield and an upgrade to my previous one, so I decided to use it. By the way, int on this build scales a lot of ES because every uh, 5 int is 1% ES, and percent ES scales a lot on this build because you don't get that much percent ES on the 3 because you're just traveling, so that's why int is just so good. The boots, aspect, movement speed, elusive, tailwind, cannot be frozen. Pretty much best case scenario. I mean, the only upgrade from here is to get 35% move speed, and then to really min-max is if the bleeding mod was int, but then it would be a mirror tier pair of boots, so it's pretty hard to get that. The gloves, I guess I'll talk about the gloves and the rings, because those have changed like not too long ago. Since I mean, on this one I don't have a herald, since I don't need the sockets. Like I still have enough mana and I have enough sockets and like everything. So I decided to drop the herald. On this one I left it because this one's really good. Now, ideally on this one, oh, what I wanted to do is if I could remove the lining resin and Dex, and then I can multi-mod this and either get int on it, which is just more ES, or I can get. Let me turn my auras back on. Or I could get +1 to minimum frenzy charges. Because the idea on this was, because what I was doing with Shadows and Dust, I wanted to double corrupt them to get a +1 to minimum frenzy charges, and then either attack crit or elemental weakness on hit. Because then I'd have 4 frenzy charges, and the idea was to get 2 minimum on my shield and then 1 on the rings crafted. But I never ended up finishing that project. But I mean, this ring is still very insane because just ES +2 gems, which for me the plus levels on gem isn't too great since my main auras are on my helm to get +3 anyway, and then you know the other big ones are in the shield. So it's like the only gems I can put in my rings are like Herald or Precision is the best gem I could put in there, because purities aren't really gonna scale. So it's like, yeah, best case, like the plus gem levels doesn't matter for me, but obviously it's worth more because of it. And then the other ring, just double ES, int, and ally weakness. I was gonna swap, I think I still have the ring here somewhere. Yeah, I was gonna swap to this ring. I mean, obviously it's not worth 60 exalts, but I just put it there because you never know. But technically it's the same stats, it just has Herald instead of the ally weak. And I was gonna use ally weakness on Shadows and Dust, but I never made the swap because since I don't need the Herald on the ring, and it has the same ES as this ring pretty much, even less because it has less int. I was like, may as well keep the attack crit on the Shadows and Dust instead and just use this ally weakness. So that's what I'm going with. And Shadows and Dust, you know, I had ally weakness once, but I thought attack crit is better because I could get ally weakness on the ring. But I mean, you can swap them around if you want. Then obviously Headhunter. The chest, I've corrupted maybe like, oh yeah, Shadows and Dust, by the way, I've been double corrupting them. I've been buying double corruption rooms and I've probably corrupted like 12 of them. And I didn't get a single one with double implicit, so that's kinda annoying. Cycles, I've corrupted maybe like 4. I got one with 6 whites and the other 3 bricked, so it's not that many, but you know, of course, ideally you get an actual implicit on this, but hey, never got around to that. Then flasks, I mean, Dying Sun, Zero's Promise, that's not even max rolled. Cinder Swallow, Alchemist, and Remove Curses, so, you know, basic flasks. The gems, 21, 20 Blood Rain. I mean, all my gems should be level 21. I think the only one that's not +1 is the chain. But, you know, oh yeah, I also have 21 Clarity, which is why I dropped Assassin's Mark, because even if I spam, like, you can see my mana, I'm never gonna run out of mana, because 21 Clarity just gives me so much regen. Mana regen 250, so I mean, I'm using 23 mana with an attack time of 0.14, so of course I'm never gonna run out of mana, even with Blood Rage and with buffs up and stuff. Like, Clarity is just insane. War Banner, Line 4, Discipline, Anger, Hatred, all level +3 gems on here. And then I have Haste, Wrath, Grace in the shield. Then I have Herald of Ash on the ring, I have Precision in this one, and then Herald of Thunder on the explicit. Flesh and Stone, because you know I just could keep fitting in more auras. Like, I mean, I probably can still fit something in, and I can still get some jewels, but I'll get to the jewels later with reduced mana. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like how many auras can you really use, right? Flame Dash, Herald of Purity, Herald of Ice, and then here my Purities and the last Herald of Agony. So you can see all the gems are 21, and then my setup 21 to defeat damage of full life, 620 wed, damage, inspiration, chain, and power siphon. So the only gem that's not min-max is the awakened chain, which I mean, whatever, right? It's like 40 exalts. I was planning to even just buy them at 40 exalts and crop them because it, like the difference between a corrupted one and a non-corrupted one is the same price, so it was like risk free. And even if they went to level 4, I could just re-level them. Yeah, I'd probably lose a few exalts if they lost quality, but I mean, probably would have been worth it. Then the skill tree. So quickly show like the layout of the skill tree, I guess first. But it's pretty much just clusters and reduced mana. I did swap to Might of the Meek with reduced mana, because not only does it increase this node, so you get plus 2 reduced mana, but it also increases these nodes from 6% to 9% ES, which is like a lot. So that's what gave me like a lot of ES afterwards. And also I should talk, because I've played this character on multiple ascendancies, like I've got multiple level 100s with it, and in my like the one I like the most personally is probably Scion, especially now that I have 9.6k ES, but I think Guardian is a very, very close second, or maybe I like them equally, because pretty much Scion is like, you get more damage on Scion, but Guardian you get more ES and more an ES regen. Like, you can see on the Scion, I only have 1.1k regen. Well, it goes to 3k best, because the Ascendancy from the Guardian, it's like every 5 seconds. So like, I only have 1.1k, whereas on the Guardian, I probably have like 2.8k, and I'd have like over 11k actual energy shield, so that's the main difference. And then of course Scion just gets, well, you get more skill points first of all. You get, I think 4 or 5 more skill points, 5 more skill points, and also from the start, because any ascendancy from the start you have 5 points to connect to the tree, because you're using the same tree anyway. But on Scion, because you want to get this anyway, so your 5 points are pretty much attack speed and the jewel socket you want anyway. So overall it's like 9 skill points or something that you get from playing Scion, and on top of that you get like a lot of attack speed because you got Necromancer. So that's why I think overall I prefer Scion, but like I said, Guardian is also good. And other than those two ascendancies, I don't recommend the other ascendancies, because the main thing is just the physical mitigation. I have 79% Physmet, which is like just insane. I've played as Elementalist, Occultist, Assassin, and they just die way more. But I think what you have to do on those is to invest in Determination or Armor, so like you actually get some Phys mitigation from that. But anyway, continue with the skill tree. So Might of Meek with reduced mana, Intuitive Leap reduced mana, Unnatural Instinct with no corrupt because they're super expensive. I did sell my Watchers because I'll probably put a clip somewhere in the video. I sold it for 2 mirrors and 50 exalts, and then I bought this one for 22 exalts. So I technically lost 50 crit multi for 2 mirrors and 28 exalts, which, you know, I'll drop 50 crit multi for that. And then of course these nodes and CI, and I did get these 2 nodes as well because they're 20% curse, aura effect is pretty big. And then Voices is probably the one thing I didn't really upgrade. I have 1 3 passives which I got at like 70 exalts, and I mean obviously like I've had the money, you know, I have 2 mirrors and 900 exalts, and then not counting everything else that's still selling. So obviously I have the money to buy 3 passives, but the thing with them is like it's more of a, like, I guess I just don't want to buy them anymore, because I've had the money to buy 3 passives since they were like 50 exalts. Like I had like 200x pure back then, and I could have just bought 3 passives, but I was like, they'll probably go down, right? And every time I looked, they will like randomly shot up like 20 or 30 exalts in one day, and then they'll be stable for like a few days again, and then when I finally decide to buy it, they'll shot up 30 exalts again. So every time I was like, oh, they'll probably go back down, but they just kept going up to like 180 exalts, and then I was like, do I really care for the 2 skill points that much? Like, if I was planning to play another at least 2 weeks or something, I would buy them right now. But I've been planning to stop the build like very shortly, so I didn't bother to buy the other ones. And I mean, obviously I'm level 100 and a Scion, so I have like plenty of skill points to spare. Well, I shouldn't say to spare, because you know, you can always get more stuff with the skill points. Like, if I got those to 3 passives, I would probably take these 4 points, like this, the mana, and then another jewel socket. So those would be the 4 points to upgrade. Other than that, my jewels, I did get 3 Endbringers with reduced mana, so those are here. And then also all my other jewels, I've swapped them all out to get 8% maximum energy shield with reduced mana. This one also has attack speed, so this is a really good one. This one is the only 6% one, but it has double attack speed, that's why I kept it. And Conquerors with reduced mana, Pure Talent, so I also have this point here. Very important if you take Pure Talent to get the 5% pen. 8% energy shield gain for enemies hit by your attacks, which is like not really too great, but Endbringer with 1% pen here, all 3 of them. And then here I have another 1% pen Endbringer. Heraldry with area effect. I mean, I didn't really corrupt these too much, so I didn't get a good corruption on them, but I do have another Endbringer with corrupted blood, and it has attack speed on it from the small node. And then here I have just pure Gil, pure might, and pure aptitude, which reduced mana. So that's the skill tree in the jewels. I'm probably gonna go over what my character is worth because I'm kind of curious since I've been doing so many upgrades to it and I've played many versions. But I mean, I still have so much stuff of it as well that I've just swapped out. Like I have this inspired still, because I've been playing the build for so long. Oh yeah, and these are some items left from the Chayulas. So that was it. Thank you for watching, thank you for all the support, and I hope to see you next league again with a lot more videos, and may you make more mirrors than I did.